Bonjour à toutes et à tous, bienvenue dans le podcast de Paris Basketball On Air pour une édition un petit peu particulière. Aujourd'hui, nous vous proposons d'écouter 2 entretiens que nous avons pu réaliser. Le premier avec Kahn, le président du Paris Basketball, puis un second avec Tuomas Iisalo, le nouveau coach de l'équipe de la capitale. Vous allez ainsi pouvoir découvrir les négociations entre les deux parties, mais aussi la vision portée par le nouveau coach finlandais, basée sur la confiance, la discipline et le travail au quotidien notamment. Mais je ne vais pas vous faire patienter plus longtemps et je vous laisse tout d'abord avec Kahn, le président du Paris Basketball, qui lors de notre entretien n'a pas oublié de rendre hommage à Will Weaver, son ancien coach, et à Ismaël Kamagaté, le pivot historique de Paris, dont le départ à Milan a été annoncé. Can you speak a little bit about how you negotiate with your new coach? Like, it was kind of, imagine, exciting moments to bring, like you said, one of the most exciting coach in Europe.
Well, I began to sense that Will Weaver was looking to move back to the NBA in April. And I felt we had to start looking to see who could possibly step in. And one of my staff members, James Newman, identified Tuomas as somebody that we should investigate. And so we began investigating him in April and then all the way into May. And it was pretty impressive. The results, even though as he spoke today, he may not be focused on results. When I watched his teams play, as I said earlier today, his teams play so hard defensively. Really impressed. And then, again, the freedom that he allows them to play offensively. A rare combination. But I would say that from the middle of April all the way until the end of the season, we were monitoring and trying to determine if we could sign him, because I worried that he would have other offers, especially in the EuroLeague, and I think he would have. But I think he chose us, and I think we're very proud about that.
That's what you said at the end. Like he brings a coaching style that is very close from Paris basketball identity. Like play hard, play fast, with a lot of freedom in offense.
Totally. And again, it's very. I feel very fortunate. Eric Schwartz, my partner, and I, we both feel very fortunate to have identified him and know that he was there. And it was the right moment where Will decided to return to the NBA, and he was available, so we were very fortunate.
So it's like that kind of market of opportunity.
Karma, we call it. Karma. K-A-R-M-A. I don't know if you know karma.
Of course, yes.
Okay.
And you spoke a little bit about Ismaël Kamagaté, that we knew yesterday officially that he leaves Paris. It's kind of every year, of course, it's a new page in the book, but it's like a very important page that left Paris now.
I agree. We will miss him. In fact, Tuomas would have been happy to coach him. He was excited about coaching him. But I think we also have to recognize that Ismael now will move into the EuroLeague with one of the best coaches of all time and a very competitive team, and so we understand. But he will always, always, always be a member of the Paris basketball family. This is where he began.
Can we speak about the next season that's coming? Look very exciting for the club. The new arena will come, Euro Cup again, new coach, new players. That
yes.
Others that will come. We're sure that's kind
yes.
of a good season for you that's coming.
Right. I agree. I think next year, every year has been better than the last when you think about it. I said this at a recent news conference. The first year, we just showed up. Second year, we tried to make the playoffs so we could compete to move up. COVID. But we had a better season before COVID. Third season, we won 10 of our last 11 matches, moved up. Fourth season, played in Pro A Betclic Elite, first time ever. Fifth season, played in Betclic Elite, had a better record, and played Euro Cup and actually won a playoff match. It's important to make playoffs next year and to continue this steady rise.
Can we ask, you said that Tuomas will come with one of his assistants and say that he will not be the only one. Did you plan to bring maybe some players from Paris?
It's safe to say that there will be a player or two or more from Bonn, but we're not ready to talk about this yet. It's just too early. We're still not final with anything.
Just let's speak about Nadirifi, for
Oui.
example, that Paris has, we saw it during the last years that Paris can bring some American talent and European talent and also from Australia, New Zealand, but it's also very important for Paris to keep his identity and to bring the young French prospects, as Ismail was, is still Juan, and now Nadirifi. It's important to keep that identity of young French talent that maybe can go to the NBA or just be in Europe also.
I agree that France has an extraordinary amount of young talent. I think what I hope people here in Paris know already is that the whole basketball world sees Paris as the heart of European basketball, the very heart, and that includes the talent. There's more talent here in France, and especially in Paris, than any other city in Europe. And so, as Paris basketball, we need to always be seeking all French players, but especially Parisian players from Grand Paris, not just inside the periphery, but from Grand Paris. And I think that we are very lucky to be based here in the midst of all this talent. And you should assume, our fans should assume, it will always be a part of our DNA to be searching for the best Parisian talent.
Et je vous laisse désormais avec l'interview de Tuomas Iisalo, le nouveau coach du Paris Basketball. C'est parti. So first of all, welcome here to Paris.
Thank you.
Can you speak a little bit about the negotiation that you had? Maybe you can say that you've been speaking with the club and him since a few months now, even during your season in Bonn.
Yeah, I was afraid you were going to start. Can you speak a little bit in French? But this is easier. This is easier. Yeah.
A few months, yes, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, during the season, the focus, I was under contract with Bonn. We were having an amazing season. I wanted to keep full focus on that, and most of the communication happened obviously between the Paris basketball representatives and my agent. And my agent was very pick the spots where he mentioned, okay, this is going in this direction, they're showing interest, etc. And then at one point we sat down with David in Bonn, and they expressed they wanted to know more about me, more about my philosophy, how we've been able to do these things, with relatively mid-level budgets or even below, and they were very intrigued by that, and I was also at the same time very intrigued by the whole project, because my agent had mentioned it already 2 years before when I moved to Bonn, that this is a up-and-coming project, that's something for the future that we should keep an eye on. So I already had followed the club for a little while, and happens to also be the favorite city of my wife. Her cousins lived in Paris and still live close to Geneva on the French side, so she speaks fluent French. And when we started the negotiations, it was also apparent that they were looking for somebody for the longer term, not just a one-year solution. And for me, as a family person, I saw this as a very good possibility to keep our family together and to have a stable base for the next few years. But overall, we didn't have a lot of contact, but it was very, how would I say, dense in a way that I think we connected from the first moment on, and I thought that, okay, this can be a good option moving forward, but obviously it was, you never know in which direction everything goes, and I was also at the same time still had a very let's say it was a very realistic opportunity, a possibility of staying in Bonn because of the situation we had created there.
Yes.
You know, and you built something, you built the connection with the fan base, you have a great staff, great players, you know, but in the end, for me, the decision process came that when we won the Basketball Champions League, it was apparent to me that we cannot have continuity in Bonn because the players have kind of graduated from the amount that we can pay in terms of the budget, and I didn't feel like the right situation for me to start after 2 years a complete rebuild in the same situation where I felt like the ceiling is what we have already reached. You know, so that's what I was saying about the challenges being very important for me, that there's a new thing and a new culture and a new country, a new style of play to master also.
Yes, it's something that I guess is very interesting for you as a coach, like a new challenge with a club like is still improving and still very young.
Exactly.
In a new arena that is coming and to play a new Euro Cup, so like here you're playing the BCL, so it's kind of the good challenge at the good moment for you, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, there was just a lot of things that clicked at the same time, and there are several very good coaches in Europe. There aren't a lot of great jobs available, and when I looked at both the short term and the long term and the things that I have been good at, which is helping programs take the next steps, I felt like this was really a good match for both. You know, this club has ambitions. I have proven that we can make those steps together forward, that I can provide also a direction and the know-how how to do the daily work, and I just thought that this could be something that works very well, like a win-win, which is the basis for all, you know, functional long-term relationships.
And for the fans who don't know you yet, can you say more about your coaching style? David said that you're someone that is coaching your team like play, defend hard, and with a lot of freedom in offense. Is that what you want to bring in Paris? More than that, of course. But
yeah, I would say I'm very pragmatic as a coach, and what I mean with this is our motto is always find a way to win, and we do everything in order to win, and we prepare every practice so that it gives us a better chance to win the next game or some games after this. And we've just noticed that some of the key elements to this is to be better organized on the floor than the other teams, whether it be offense or defense, to have very quick decision making in both ends, to reduce the what we call lag time, you know, between different moves, and then to have a ridiculously high intensity that is the norm. And this comes, all of these things come through the daily practice, and those are part of our collective identity as a team. And I try to keep the identity as small or simple as possible, you know, that we play with a fast pace, we play with intensity, we always play for the team. Everything else to me is negotiable and depends also on the players you have and the opponents you are facing.
Okay.
And you must find a way. So it's always about your own idea of basketball, the concept, but then the context of the league or the specific opponent, and that's obviously changing right now in the French league, and I see this as a very, very interesting challenge. But overall, I mean, I would not personally describe our offense as very free. I would say it looks like this, which is really where the magic is. You know, that the players don't have to think what they're going to do, and this brings the speed of decision making because we have created those habits that are very strong, and the players can rely on those habits instead of thinking, what do I do in this situation? It has been ingrained in them, and not just as individual players, but in everybody moving in the same way, for example, or seeing the same possibilities in the situation. And what this led to is 2 years in a row we had the best offense in the Bundesliga, and this year we also had the best defense and the best rebounding in the whole league. So it's been like we have just figured out every season where are we behind the best teams and how do we fix this? And then we go about it like through analysis, then the synthesis, and then apply it on the court first through recruiting, but also changing the idea of play or the practice emphasis. And really, it sounds very simple, but it's not easy. Simple, not easy. No.
Dernière question, juste une. Just the last question. You spoke during the press conference about, and already still in the interview, about the context of the league. You're coming in the Click Elite, and you said it is maybe more athletic,
yes,
more with a lot of more budget also than the
yes,
Bundesliga. Can you say what you know about more details about the Click Elite, athleticism, budget, talent also? What can you expect from that league?
Yeah, absolutely. I expect that every game will be very difficult. I've seen games, against top teams in the league, but also the bottom teams in the league. And what stands out to me is that it's very difficult to physically dominate even the worst teams in the league. And this is something that's different from Germany, where the money for the smaller teams is a lot lower than in France, and also the quality of the domestic players overall, the talent of the domestic players is higher, which also then elevates the whole league and evens it up. And this is something that to me is very specific. There are some other peculiarities, a lot of small pull-up point guards in many teams, whereas in Germany we created this trend of having very quick guys, small point guards who can get to the rim.
That was kind of a problem from Paris last year, so small players like that.
Yeah, and obviously one way to counter this is to get a guy like that yourself, or then to build also a defense that can counter against this. And I think we will find the balance. And the second thing is there's less shooting talent in the French league overall. You see a lot of teams play position 4 and 5 players who don't have this range, and this is very different in Germany, where position 4 guy is always a shooter, position 5 guy also often a shooter, and this means there's a much more space on the floor, which is one of the critical elements. So there are definitely big differences between the styles, and I think one of the things that has led to this is there has been a way bigger foreign influence on German basketball than on French basketball. There's I think at one point where 16 out of 18 head coaches were outside of Germany, and all around, from Argentina, from US, Belgium, Holland, and even Finland, so that's something that I always felt enriching, and also was a very good platform to develop coaching skills, because you're meeting these different ideas and you have to kind of adjust your own concept to the context of that. And we also played a very tough series against Strasbourg in the Champions League, where we felt that physicality. It was a team that we had a very athletic team, but we felt like, okay, against them we can't really dominate in the same way. And in the end, we managed to win that series, and this was a big step for us for the season, but also obviously in our road to the Final Four.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good.
C'est tout pour ces entretiens avec David Kahn et Tuomas Iisalo. N'hésitez pas à vous abonner à nos réseaux sociaux. Paris B-8 on air pour Twitter, Paris B-Ball on air sur Facebook et Instagram, et de rester présent à nos côtés pour suivre l'actualité chargée du club cet été, puisque de nombreuses arrivées sont attendues. Un épisode consacré à Tuomas Iisalo devrait également vous être proposé prochainement. En attendant, prenez soin de vous et à bientôt.